Welcome, my survivors. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Nichel Anderson, and I am your host, of course, for my podcast, Surviving Your Journey Toward Success, where I am continuing on. This would be considered part two. Last week was basically part one, talking about corporate toxicity, bullying, abuse, and some strategies, as well as identifying those type of situations. In this particular week, we're going to focus on now who is responsible in the workplace that contains toxicity. So that's basically the topic. Who is responsible in workplace toxicity? All right, for episode 15. Let's go ahead and get started. So first, in this day, I am thankful to the prime creator of all things, that I give thanks for the blessing and opportunity, that I will use it for the greater good. Okay, so thank you again, my survivors, for joining me here today to this podcast that aims to inspire and motivate you to continue to have joy, peace of mind, and to sustain your success. Let's talk about that. So I kind of mentioned it last week about who is responsible. And I mentioned management, okay? That's always at the top. And I say that is because that's basically what the role is as a manager, is to identify the personalities that doesn't click, that doesn't work out in a team environment. But sometimes those individuals slip by, and so the manager doesn't realize that initially, because the person's pretty much faking it, right? They're not going to show the bad side, that they always cause drama, or they're not a very cooperative person because they want the job. But later on, it does show up. And then you can also tell this from a management perspective as how they treat the employees. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the whole money situation. They're not paying their employees enough, and they're not doing this and that. I'm basically talking about the interpersonal skills, because that's the heart of it. Now, in my book, Corporate America, Surviving Your Journey, that's basically the first chapter, because I'm basically outlining how you can develop a good relationship with the person you're working with without degrading them. Because that's what, to me, is basically at the heart of it. When we say bullying, that's basically what they do. They want to degrade you so they can feel better about themselves. Because really they have low self-esteem. And I'm only stressing that because that's basically what we're dealing with. And it's not fair that we have to deal with that in a place that we need to pay for our livelihood. But that's what we're dealing with, folks. And so who is responsible at the end of the day is management. Even if they did not realize it initially, once they identify it, they got to get it out. Now, when I work with project teams on my projects, I'm constantly evaluating how each individual is working with each other, okay? And you always can tell over time, because they can't keep the act up forever. I don't care how good they're acting. They can't keep it up forever, because again, it's back to the emotional self, meaning that it all comes back to how the esteem of that person feel about themselves. Now, when they have authority, oh my gosh, it's like octane. It's like, it's off the charts of the disrespect and the devalue of another person. So let's talk about some other examples. Let me move on to that. Examples of what you can identify when you realize that basically is management. So with that, it kind of comes into what I was talking about last week. And that, I have saw recommendations from other people giving, people seeking help, mental peace, basically, right? But you need to do this and you need to say that. You cannot do that in corporate America. This is politics. I don't care if it's a mom and pop shop. It's still, maybe it's think of it as it's local politics. Right? And you hear politicians say, well, local politics ain't nothing but, local politics. I think some of them say local politics is worse than the big time politics, which I probably, disagree on that, but everybody have their preference. At the end of the day, the point still remains is that you just can't come into it thinking I'm just going to say this and say what I think and this is wrong. No, you got to be smart about this. Okay? some of those examples who was responsible is look into how the manager applied the policy of how they deal with customers. Now, I mentioned about the salary. I really wasn't going to get into that aspect and all of that. But basically, just see what they do give and then what they don't give. What they do make a comment on and what they let things, slide. Basically, we're dealing with ethics. Okay, let me just cut to the chase. If they're an ethical company, you will not have much toxicity. And if the toxicity arises, you will have prestige leadership to nub that in the bud. And I did an episode on what prestige leadership basically entails. I highly recommend you go and listen to that podcast of mine when I talk about that. That's what they do. Bad leadership don't do that. Okay? And then they be in denial. And then these employees, everybody can't deal with mental stress. And that's why I'm blessed that I can just have a discussion and be one of those also that's out here that's trying to help you. Okay, we're not all in to see what we can get out of it. We really care because, at the end of the day, we humans. And I know I do say that off and on, but it's true. And you got to be able to know how to communicate and inspire and identify issues. And when you don't, you're just in a bowl of toxicity. So why, who, what? Pretty much when you deal with why. Okay, why they don't do anything about it is because it's an ethical type of thing. They either fine with it because they're getting the bottom line, and we're talking about money, profitability, or whatever that well, that's basically what we're talking about. But also, I think it's deeper with the emotions. It's a self-esteem. See, some people are in management that got the position maybe because they was very likable or they was acting their way up, or then again, maybe they're real talented, but it doesn't mean they need to be a leader. So they allow the verbal abuse to continue. They allow the threatening when maybe you made a mistake and next thing you know, you're in an office in a blink of an eye and they're about to sign you off and send you to HR to fire you, instead of working with you. We have to come, in a sense, in the corporate workplace world that we are, I'm going to say that word again, humans, and we have emotions and we have needs and we need to be nourished. And I said that before. You need nourishment. When you take that out and you're just looking at the numbers and you know what I'm saying? Or maybe you like the employee that really, that's the employee that's causing all the toxicity and you're not doing nothing about it because, hey, y'all laughing and having jokes and, everything seems fine to you. But that person can't do the work. That person can't run that office. So you have to be able to know how to communicate and identify those that needs to be removed. And I'm telling you, it could take one person to draw everything, downhill. So that's the who, what, and why. Let's talk about strategies, okay? Let's get to the heart of this. If you're in it, what can you do about it? If it's management, that's a touchy situation. If it's the management that's causing the toxicity, or if it's the management that they know, everybody know, nothing's getting done with it. That's the culture of the company. When you aim to interview, company's not going to tell you the culture in the sense that if it's toxic. They're not going to say that. They're going to talk about the positive things, the good things. They're not going to do that. And I might need to do an episode of what type of questions that you can ask. I'm on my way to someplace and I wanted to talk about it here. Somebody was saying, but just ask for maybe like in a handbook or something and read over that. I would not do that in no job interview. You're not even hired yet. You set off red flags. They're not going to tell you. You have to do your own research. You have to go to some of those employee review boards that tell you that's the only way you're going to know the truth. And how you can know the truth and you're not thinking, well, maybe they're just disgruntled. No. If you have several people that don't know one another logging on to a site and they're saying the same thing of the work environment, I bet you all the money they're telling the truth. And that's how you can identify the culture, right? That you need to avoid, or you need to know this is just like a pit stop because I need to just get something coming in and then I'm moving on, right? But that's basically what you have to do in a sense. You have to identify the players in a sense that you know. But when you're dealing with management, the strategy is different because then you got to ask yourself, do they have an HR plan? What is the policy of that? What is your backup plan? Okay. And you want to be able to kind of give some hints that you're having some type of struggle with this or that, but in a way that you really want to be a team player. You always want to play a team player type framework because that helps with them not identifying you as the target, that you're the problem, even though we know that you're not, right? And then another thing too I want to give you before I move on to your task to dusk to dawn, you have to identify the culture in a way that, say for instance, they are like what I like to call, I need to do the episode on that. They're like the Alice in Wonderland type mentality, meaning that everything's just fine, nothing here. This is falling down, that's falling down. High turnover. No, everything is fine over here, and we're still doing this and that, and that person over there still causing trouble, is not working. Oh, but no, everything. They're just in denial. It's time to move on, pretty much. You look at your options, look what you can do. You decide if you can kind of manage that and just ignore that too, but not to the point that you're like debilitating your mental state and being verbally or abused. That's when you got to decide if you need to stay or not. Because those type of companies, if you go up and say anything, you are the problem. Okay? So you got to avoid that. So your task to dusk to dawn is basically when you at this stage and it's like from the management level or the management's not doing anything about it, pretty much you have to decide, you have to start networking. Okay? Getting out, getting your name out there. You don't want to jump to job, but you got to have an exit plan, because your mind cannot take that stress, that abuse. That's what it is. You're being abused. Okay? That could be in so many different scenarios of what that could be, but we both know that you are. And we both know what's going on and how it's like being in a pressure cooker. And you got to look at that. So let me go ahead and leave you with my motivational takeaway for you, is that seeking a better joy for life is a good thing on our journey. And having the self-determination, and I had an episode of that last month, where self-determination allows you to have the required focus of a mindset to do what's needed. That with setting your mind in a way that is free for mental peace, you got to seek it, you got to do it. So you got to be proactive about it. Don't wait around thinking they're going to make the change and management going to make the change. Especially another key factor to identify with that I consult and I ask people about when they want to get some advice or what, I found out the players and I ask questions. If they've been doing this for a long time, okay, let this toxicity keep going, like high turnovers and not doing nothing, it's a done deal. You got to find an exit plan. They're not going to change. Okay. Sometimes companies change. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to end this. Some companies just change after thousands of employees have left, just to kind of say, oh yeah, we're doing this. See, we're doing this. But the mindset of toxicity, of how they deal with things, no good interpersonal skills, like I said in my book, the first chapter, is still there. That's why there's continued high turnover. That's why you're still stressed. That's why stuff is still the same that don't make no sense. But yet they see some money coming in, the company don't stop. It's almost like an insanity in a way. You know it's wrong, but they keep doing it. And that's a lot of companies out there. And you know what? That's fine, but not for you. They could do that, but not you. You deserve joy and mental peace. And you just have to be proactive about it and know what that is. So when you step in, you know what you're dealing with. When you step out, you know what you got to do to get back your mental peace, because it's been absorbed and attacked. All right? Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe to my podcast and share as well. My podcast homepage is Nichel Anderson, 7.podbean.com. So that's N as in Nicholas, Ichel, Anderson, 7.podbean.com. Also, my show is on iTunes. You can download it straight from the iTunes page. Also, you can go to my homepage on Podbean, connect and download iTunes from there as well. Follow me on social media. My official Twitter account is twitter.com/Nichel Anderson. Facebook, So that's facebook.com/Nichel Anderson fan page. And also visit my official website, which is nichelanderson.com. That's where you can learn more about the things that I do, my courses that I have, and as well as webinars at times that I do. And also you can find out any new updates of projects that I aim to create and produce. But mainly you can find out more information about my courses that I have, my classes, and sometimes future webinars that I do for free. This show notes will be provided for you that will list any information to read up on when you are able to do so, and any website links if mentioned in this broadcast. You can as well purchase my Corporate America Surviving Your Journey Choice Success book on Amazon, as well as my other book, Mitzrayim, a memoir. It is also available on Amazon.com, as well as any other book retailer that you prefer. All right, just to recap, some information on my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey, Choice Success. Regular new broadcasts are Mondays by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Guest interviews are pre-announced as soon as confirmed. Now, if you want to be a guest speaker on my show that listeners can gain insight, be motivated, and encouraged about your message or product or service that you have that can benefit others, please complete a guest speaker application form. You can locate that on my Podbean homepage that houses my audio podcast. Okay, so that's nichelanderson7.podbean.com. Also, if you go to my official website, nichelanderson.com, and click on podcast, you will see at the top menu to the right, if you own a PC, if you're on a PC or a Mac. If you're on a mobile phone, then of course you have to kind of maneuver a different way to see that menu, but you will see podcast show, and then that way you can see that link that will take you to complete the guest speaker application form. And I do get that and look that over. To get a response back that you are approved can take around about 48 to 72 hours, maybe longer depending on when you have submitted it, like on the weekend. Now, if you have any questions to answer during my podcast, you can send it to info@nichelanderson.com, or you can direct message me on Twitter or Facebook. Now, I'm also on Skype. Okay, so my Skype ID is nichel.anderson. Okay, so this concludes my podcast show today. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Please follow me on my social media and subscribe for future podcast airings of my show. My Twitter account is twitter.com/Nichel Anderson. Again, facebook.com/Nichel Anderson fan page. And also you can visit my official website, nichelanderson.com. There are also premium podcasts priced and provided conveniently online for easy access on Nichel Anderson 7 podbean.com, where it houses all of my podcast episodes. You can find that option for premium podcast where you will have access to get more of my content instead of the free episodes that I roll out weekly. And also I am planning on releasing short stories. I used to do that as well when I had that opportunity at sweet101.com as the columnist for the Harlem Renaissance. In between my research and my articles, I started like short stories, and people seem to enjoy those stories. And also that can tie into my other creative projects that I have going on as well, besides my courses that I have on my website, which is Dawn of New Day and Mole. So I am planning to do short stories from those types of productions and even new ones as well. And so I will basically have that type of content specifically for the premium paid podcast. Okay, so I plan on to have specifically for that type of literary creative side of me content available in the premium paid podcast. Okay? So please visit the show notes as well for each of my podcasts. It is located on the homepage. So, concluding my podcast today, I would like to leave you with my message for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy, always to your success.